where Jody is. It's at noon. But I'm Laurel Boylan, and I'm your host today at the Freedom Trail show. Every Wednesday, we jump on here on LinkedIn and Facebook Live, and I interview guests about their story and what it was that was the burning desire within them that needed freedom, what freedom means to them. And the whole goal of this show is just to inspire people to think bigger and realize you don't have to stay stuck. So today, I'm really, really happy to bring on a very good friend of mine who I met in the online circles, and then we've just continued to connect. And that's Jody Barbour. And Jody is a proud wife and mom of three beautiful children. She lives in Indianapolis. And Jody, I'm going to welcome you and let you tell everybody about your business and what it is you're doing these days online.
Yes, I'm so excited. I adore you, Laurel. And if you guys follow Laurel and watch her show and are connected to her, you're in for a treat. You just bring a lot of light everywhere you are. So I am an Enneagram coach and sales strategist for women entrepreneurs. And it's been a crazy journey of getting to this place, but I am really living in my zone of genius for the first time in my 7 years of entrepreneurship. And so, what I do is I help women entrepreneurs sell more confidently, authentically, and effectively online in alignment with their personality type. And the tool that I love the most for really unlocking how we are all uniquely designed is the Enneagram. And so I bring that into my coaching and allow women to really understand their core fears around selling, what's holding them back, and then also practical strategies that they can put in place that feels good and authentic to them. Because I believe that no two people should be selling exactly the same way. We all have different personalities. We all have different ways of connecting with each other. And that has to also inform our selling strategies. So that's what I do.
You know, Jody, I am intimately knowledgeable about the Enneagram, and it's a huge tool that I've been incorporating into my life for the last 3 years. And you've talked a little bit about the personality course and how you use it to help women in business, but do you have like a one or two sentence definition for people who might not be familiar with the Enneagram?
Yes. Yeah. So the Enneagram it's a personality assessment that speaks to 9 different core personality types. And most people are familiar with Myers-Briggs or the DISC test or Strengths Finders. The thing that really sets the Enneagram apart is that it speaks to your motivations. It actually helps you understand why you think the way you think, why you feel the way you feel, and why you do the things that you do. And so it's one of the most robust and also complex personality assessments that are out there, which is why some people may feel overwhelmed. But if you've never had your Enneagram, if you've never had an assessment, I would highly recommend getting one at some point. There's lots of free tests online. There's lots of information and education out there. For me personally, it unlocked so much, not only in my personal life, but also in how I relate to other people and also in my marriage. It was a huge talk about freedom. I mean, it really changed so much of my marriage to the point where we have a very healthy marriage, and the Enneagram was a really big piece of that for us.
That's awesome. It has been for my husband and I as well. It's awesome.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I know a lot about your story, but our viewers and listeners do not. Because this is the Freedom Trail, can you take us back a few years to when you weren't feeling quite so free? And what was it that was causing you to feel like you needed to make a change?
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, and I think we met right around this time when I was doing a lot of just digging and searching and like, what am I supposed to do? So my background is actually in full-time vocational ministry. So my husband and I, for about 11 years, we met during this time, got married during this time, but we both worked for a college ministry for 11 years. And then after we got married, we were still part of that college ministry for about 5 years. had 3 kids in less than 4 years. And then we decided to move into church ministry, where my husband became the lead pastor of a brand new church that we planted, that we started together back in 2017. So during this time, I was experiencing a lot of just a lot of loss in my life. There were a lot of really good things, but also a lot of really hard things where, this career that I had had in mentoring, being a spiritual mentor to college women, essentially that was finished. I was taking care of 2 toddlers and a newborn. And then all of a sudden, my husband and I are doing a brand new thing we've never done before and planting a church. And I was a pastor's wife. And so, which there have been a lot of really incredible parts to that, but also some challenging pieces of that. And one of the things that I really struggled with was feeling like my personality and the way that I was wired didn't fit with just kind of the cultural expectation and some of the narratives around pastors' wives. And, every culture brings its own narratives and stories into different roles. And I think for me, during that time, I was really struggling because I wanted to work and I wanted to make money, but I also had these kids at home. And I didn't necessarily want to just go into corporate America and find a job, although that was really enticing to me. And then we also needed money during that time. My husband's salary was very low when he started as a lead pastor. And so I had to figure out ways to fill the gap. So my first, my kind of dipping my toes in entrepreneurship was through network marketing. And I had a lot of preconceived ideas about what network marketing was. And I was a little bit nervous to get into that because I didn't, I'm like, oh, what are people's opinions and all the stuff that comes up, especially when we start something new. And but the thing that network marketing really opened up for me was the possibilities. And so I started to understand, oh, there's a lot of people that are making really significant income for their families doing really bizarre things that I would have never thought of before. And so I was with a couple different companies, but the last company that I was with, I helped to launch the company into the network marketing space. I was one of the first initial ambassadors with the company. And during that time, I got connected to a mastermind. Actually, Laurel and I met through that mastermind. And the mastermind was the first place where my eyes were really opened to like these skills that I'm developing as I'm growing a network marketing business, which I still have, by the way, but also understanding all of the other options and all of the other things that were out there. That's when I started to get very excited. And so it was probably about a 3-year process, maybe a 2.5-year process for me understanding that, oh, I have these skill sets and I have this story and I have this experience. And a lot of my experience is in leadership development of women and helping them really to find their voice and to reclaim their lives and to like step into the areas where they're very gifted and use that as a way to serve and love people. And then I was seeing like all the different business opportunities that were possible when you take a skill set and your expertise and your experience and you can turn that into an actual business. No one had ever told me that before. I'd never seen this modeled. I'd never seen anyone talk about this. And so I started to explore what it would look like to step into the coaching realm. And this has been thrilling. And actually, what ended up happening was my husband's watching me this whole time. And, he's a very brilliantly gifted coach, like brilliant, brilliant man. And he was using his incredible coaching skills to help people conflict and to mediate and leadership development. And so when he started to kind of explore, well, if I didn't want to stay in ministry full time, what's possible for me? And so now my husband and I are actually both full time entrepreneurs as of January. We are, yeah, we've completely transitioned away from full time ministry. But we've brought all those skills and those experiences into our coaching business, which I think has given us a tremendous amount of traction because we've been building trust with people for so long. And now we're using those skills and that experience to help entrepreneurs, small business owners, and leaders, emerging leaders in the workforce. Those are the types of clients that we serve. So in our 40s, my husband turned 40 in October. I turned 42 in January. We're like kind of discovering this life that we didn't know was possible.
Jody, let me ask you this. I know from talking to you a couple of years ago that there was a lot of judgment that went on in the early days when you started making social media posts and coming out and letting people know what you're up to. People were criticizing you and judging you. How did you navigate through that period and develop the bulletproofness that you have to know that you're here to serve many more than just in one community?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that was a really tough season where I was having to have multiple hard conversations and really just explain. I felt like I was putting my big girl pants on a lot. And just kind of explaining, I my identity is not as with this title of pastor's wife. My identity is I am Jody Barbour, and my husband happens to be a pastor. However, this is how, like, I remember sitting down and having one conversation in particular where I was just having to be very clear that the way that I use my social media profiles is to talk about this, 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 and this. And many people choose social media to only share about their family, or they're very private, and I've made a different choice. And it's okay if you disagree. It's okay if you don't want to follow me. It's okay if you don't like the things that I share, because these are the things that I want to share. So I did I wouldn't I would say I'm still growing in the bulletproofness. But I did have to it forced me to really look inside and be like, okay, what do I want to do? What kind of impact do I want to have? And am I willing to really step into this, even if I continue to get criticism and judgment and people telling me, I just don't like what you post anymore? Okay. And I think what I'm realizing, as we grow businesses online and as our audiences grow, that is just part of it. You cannot grow a business online and grow an audience and stay super focused on your message without the criticism. It just is part of it. I wish it wasn't. I wish people were more gracious. I wish people were open to understanding a different perspective. But unfortunately, human nature, this is part of it. And so if that is, if you're someone who's watching this and this is something that you're struggling with, I would really encourage you to do some deep digging into understanding that other people's thoughts or feelings about what you are doing are not gospel truth necessarily. We always want to be open to being challenged. We want to be open to people speaking into our lives when they've been given permission and when they've earned that right and earned that trust. So.
Absolutely. Wow. And one thing I also would just like to add, both you and I, when we decided we wanted to be online entrepreneurs and put our family number one and make money doing something we enjoy to use some of our business skills, and yet we want to be able to have the flexibility to do it whenever, wherever, based on what soccer games we have going on or what school awards are going on, because we want to be there, right? That's the freedom. That's why we're doing this. But I didn't know how to do this, and
Yeah.
I know you didn't know how to do this either. So my message is that if anyone out there wants to do this, the first step is to reach out to someone already doing it.
Yeah.
Because that person, guaranteed, if they're successful, they have a whole network of books and people and videos and trainings and masterminds and different things that they've been through that they can guide you to say, well, when I was just starting, this is what was most helpful to me. And so I didn't really fully understand that because I am in network marketing. I've gotten all of my training and experience from my own team and from my own company, which is amazing. But I didn't realize what else was out there, and utilizing all these other business skills to grow my same network marketing company has just been an amazing transformation for me. And
Yeah.
so I guess I just want to reiterate the fact that all it takes is a desire to
Yeah.
pursue freedom, and then for you to reach out to anyone that you feel a connection to that's already doing it and just say, hey, where do I start?
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean, I help people get started in, you know, guiding them towards flipping houses, guiding them towards all kinds of side hustles, side gigs. It's not just my business, but
Yeah.
I'm so passionate about people finding the freedom that they need. Some people don't need it. Some people thrive on the corporate workplace, the travel. Some people thrive on that and they have their life worked around it, and that's great. My message is for those who don't thrive on that and
Yeah.
who really want something different. They want more freedoms.
Yes. Yeah.
So, what would you say the most challenging part of being your own boss online is for you, Jody?
Well, I think the most challenging part is just um, managing my thoughts and my brain. It's easy sometimes to wake up and to either feel confused, what am I supposed to do, or letting overwhelm or fear or imposter syndrome come in. And I think that honestly, the biggest challenge for me has been to take those thoughts and kind of examine them and ask myself whether they're helpful or useful, and then replacing them with thoughts that are actually helpful and useful. And one of the practical ways I've done that is I've actually just looked to other people who are ahead of me, and it's like, if that person can figure this out, so can I. There's nothing more unique about that person than me. And I do really believe that every entrepreneur finds success if they do not quit. Do not quit. You will figure it out. So that's been the biggest challenge for me. And then also just balancing, I've got 3 kids who are now in elementary school. So they're at school during the day. But by the time they get home, my brain juice has all been used up. And so really trying to figure out, what does it look like to be present with my kids and not just think about my business all the time, but also to let my kids know that the business is also a priority. Finding that balance can feel really elusive, but I think for each individual, that's a question that you have to answer for yourself, what balance looks like for you.
Excellent. What would you say to that person who, primarily women, both of us work with primarily women, um, who is feeling like, all right, she's talking to me. I really need to make a plan here. I need
Yes.
to stop my 9 to 5, or I need to start working towards something where I can stop my 9 to 5 by next year. What would you say to that person?
Yeah. Well, I think that you may be thinking about starting a business as way more complicated than it actually is. I would find a mentor that you align with, and I would reach out to an entrepreneur that you trust who maybe has mentors or coaches that they can connect you to. And um, I I think I also just want to say to you that it's possible. It's you are not um you have not sold your soul to your 9 to 5. There are people all the time, every day, who walk away from their 9 to 5s to pursue something different and make it work. And so I would find a mentor, and I would also very actively look for a group of entrepreneurs that are doing scary, courageous things like you want to, or like you currently are, and choose wisely what voices you allow into your life. And sometimes that means having to recalibrate and redefine some relationships that may be current, but people who don't necessarily have your back. And that can be very painful and that can be confusing. But protecting your energy and protecting your thoughts is vitally important, especially as you're thinking about making this transition into entrepreneurship. There's so much resistance out there that it's just not true. If my husband and I mean, honestly, I'm like, we had no experience. We literally quit all of our jobs and focused in on this full time, and we're supporting our family. If my husband and I can do this, literally any human being can do this. Any.
Absolutely. And sometimes they say that you need to build the community before you even have something to sell. And that's where I think both of you had already been building your community by your other interests, your other ministries. So you had a community of people, both of you, who knew, like, and trusted you
Yeah.
before you jumped into this. And that's why I like to counsel people also is don't just give everything up and jump in, because then you're going to feel so stressed. You
Yes.
kind of need to have a plan. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be a 5-year plan. It might be a 6-month plan, but
Yeah.
just get with somebody and get a plan going. Well, Jody wants to connect with you about the Enneagram, or just
Yeah.
wants to connect with you about your journey because maybe they're in ministry. Where can people find you?
Yes. Well, I'm actually the most active on LinkedIn, and I know that we're streaming into LinkedIn and some other places also. So you can find me on LinkedIn. That's where I am every day. It's the best way to get a hold of me. And also, I have two things I want to tell you about. One is I'm hosting a masterclass in 2 weeks, April 25th, 26th, 27th. So depending on when you're watching this, it may be past the date or before the date. And I'm going to be really diving into unpacking the Enneagram around your sales strategies. And so if you're interested in learning more, this masterclass is totally free. You can go to jodybarbour.com/masterclass. And you can get registered there. All the information will be in the follow-up email there. And then also, I have a free online community over on Facebook. It's called the Enneapreneur, and I'll put both links in the comments section of wherever you're watching this. And that I do live trainings in that group at least once a week, probably more like two times, where I'm training on sales and marketing by Enneagram type. And so if that is something that you are interested in or could benefit from, I would love to have you join that community.
Great.
Thank you.
I was watching one of your lives earlier today. Well, I don't know if it was live today or a video, but I was watching it and it was like, oh, I got to go. I'm going to come back and watch this because it was really pertinent.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. So what do you think I am? Which Enneagram, or did I already tell you?
I think you told me, but I forget. You're a
Take a guess.
okay, well, I'm gonna guess two. You're probably strong in a couple of types. Are you a 3?
Yes.
Yep, okay. That's right. I would
I'm
maybe
in
7 to
that I'm a 378 in
Yes,
the whatever the
yes,
term is. So I'm a 378. At first I was mistyped as an 8, and
yeah,
then now I'm a 3. And of course I'm very, very strong 2-wing. I've totally been working on my 4-wing because I want to fly even. I don't want
yes,
to fly like in circles, which I had been doing. So yeah, I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. So
oh, that is so good. That's so
yeah.
good.
All right. Well, this has been wonderful. I hope other people have enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I miss you. We need to chat more often.
Yes, agreed. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And have a great rest of the week, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday.
All right.
Okay.